We shall not cease from exploration. And the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Through the unknown remembered gate, when the last of earth left to discover is that which was the beginning.
Rich, thanks for coming on today.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So this is my first podcast that I actually participated in the thing that my guest does before the episode started, so that was a really cool thing to do. Could you talk a little bit about your passion with baking and making bread and all that stuff, which is what we just got back from?
Yeah, great. Caleb actually attended one of my classes at the Craftwork Studios. It's a baking class. I call it the Italian Flight Series. So I do a bunch of different Italian-based dishes as well as baking items. Today we did Baking 101 with Bread 101. Basically, we did an Italian bread dough, which was very versatile. You can use it in a number of different ways. You can use it in pizza, you can use it in focaccia, you can use it making rolls, you can use it making log loaves, which we did a little bit of all of that today. And Caleb did a very nice job. He made focaccia bread and it came out fantastic. So, that's one of the things that we do here at Craftworks. We have a number of different items that we do here at Craftworks. And basically what Craftworks is a creator space, basically. So if you think of a gym membership, you go pay a monthly membership and go to the gym. You pay a monthly membership to Craftworks and you come in and you have a space that you can just hone your craft. We have a number of different crafts that we work on here. We do pour painting, acrylic paints, yarn and knitting. We have sewing sewing machines. We do macrame. We have a number of different other classes that we do here. Another different activities that we do here with Moon and Mug. So it's actually a really cool space, so to speak. And you can just come and just hone in on what you want to do that day, and just go back home, and you don't mess up your own home while you're doing it. So.
Yeah, and so for anybody listening now, Craftworks is in the Johnstown area. That's where most of the people who I kind of have on this show are from. There's obviously been some elsewhere. And it's just this place that's been open for a few years now, and it's really just allowing people to, like Rich said, hone their craft. It's like you can come in here 24/7, work on what you want. So I mean, if you're in the area, definitely check it out if that's kind of what interests you. It's a very inclusive place for all different kinds of creative people. Could you actually talk a little bit about how you got involved here and kind of what you do here?
Well, it's kind of convoluted, but I'll try to make it as short as I can.
Well, it's a podcast. You can go long if you want.
How I got here to Craftworks. I actually start watching reels of people doing acrylic painting, and I tried it at home, and tried different techniques. Used a press method, using a squeegee, using a pour method, using a tilt method, using an air dry method. And, I thought I was pretty cool looking. And my son, my youngest son, he's in his 20s, early 20s, thought they were actually kind of cool. And he was dating a young woman, he's still dating her now, who was actually at the Gazebo gallery. And she worked there. And she told me about there's a place that you can, it's like a creation space, and I came over, talked to the director, and told her what I was doing, and she's like, yeah, we can we can really use you or use your creativity here. So we were looking at spaces for me to where I would do these paintings and whatnot. And actually, so she took me on a tour of the place, and she's saying, oh, you could do it upstairs, and this place is amazing when it comes to hardwood floors and stuff. And I explained to her, hey, not a good idea because it's really messy. So when she was taking me on a tour, we were in the basement, and there's all this cluttered room, and I said, hey, if I clean out this space, can I use this space? And she said, yeah, and I made a couple paintings, and she just was impressed. And So I started making paintings here, and then I would make them, like if there's a function outside, I would do it outside in the park. I've done that a couple times, and basically, you know, and then I hung some of my paintings next door at the gazebo. When they allowed like local artists, they gave them a free month to put up their stuff. So, and I've been doing it ever since. And then I ended up, actually, I'm a pretty good cook, I guess. And I made some food at home, and as a gift, I gave it to the director, and she was dazzled by it. She said, "Can you do a cooking class here?" And I did, and just took off. So. And I've been doing cooking classes ever since, and I've done a number of different types of classes. We did, Italian cookie classes, pizzelle classes, biscotti classes. We've done bread classes. We made homemade gnocchi or gnocchi, however you want to say it. We did pizza and stromboli a few weeks ago. Over Christmas time, we did strafoli. So it's Italian based. And we're trying to branch out, but everybody seems to like the Italian-based dishes. So
yeah.
I just stuck with it, and everybody just keeps coming back. And I have had repeat people, and we also do we encourage couples. Like it's a really cool day date if you want to do something fun, either with your spouse or with your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other. A couple times over Valentine's Day, they fell on the weekends, and we made biscotti we called it biscottis for lover, and we had couples come in and they made biscotti, and it was actually kind of fun. And for the guy, he was doing something with his girlfriend, his partner, and so they're doing a date, they're making the cookies, they eat what they make, and then they don't have to worry about going out and trying to fight the crowds at night for it. So it was a perfect kind of setup, and people just loved it. And I've had repeat people come back as couples and whatnot, taking different classes. So, and then I get a lot of interest responded through Facebook, and everybody says the same things. Oh, where's this place at? And I keep telling them, and I was only doing about one class a month. Now I'm up to like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I do different things. You can find us on Facebook, Craftwork Studios. You can look us up on the internet. We have our own website. So we're out there. It's just where we're located. I call it Johnstown's biggest hidden gem.
Yeah.
Because where we're located, nobody knows where we're at. We're actually right behind the Moon and Mug. We're attached to that building, but we're up in the level above. And we're going to be part of Taste and Tour this year, as well as we were last year, and we have biscotti, so we're going to hand out biscotti. So, and again, like I said, we're Johnstown's biggest hidden gem.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and this will be my reminder too for whenever I'm editing this to put in the links to all of the Craftwork stuff, so that anybody listening can check it out, especially if you're in the area. And yeah, that is true about the Johnstown's hidden gem. I think that kind of the city as a whole, for anyone who's been here before, people who have businesses and things that are going on in like the upper floors of buildings can kind of get away with like being pretty unseen, because I think there's the idea in this town of like everything that's above floor 1 is usually abandoned.
Yes.
Which has actually been, especially recently, very untrue. Like there's a lot of things going on, especially around Central Park. I know that they do a lot of things in the upper floors. So yeah, always go and check, in this city or in any other city. But
yeah, and a lot of people tell me it's affordable. Like
yeah.
We've had people from Pittsburgh, Philadelphia area, and when they find out the cost of the classes, they're like, "How much?"
Yeah.
And they can't believe how affordable it is.
And it's good quality too. It's not just like low quality for low price.
Yeah, I mean there's living legend here. You made your bread, you made focaccia, you tasted it, the product, the outcome. So, and we post everything on Facebook. So I make videos of all the classes, and I tell people they're going to be Facebook famous. So there's a lot of Johnstown groups that I post on, or I share my stuff with, and they pick it up, post it out. One of the things about food is it's something that brings everybody together for one reason or another. No matter what happens in life, food seems to be that one thing that binds everybody.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, you know, somebody might offer you something to eat and drink, and you feel better. You know, it's comforting. You know, people sit around tables discussing life, and there's usually something to eat or drink there. So when you learn how to do that as well, now you don't have to worry about going somewhere. You can actually invite people to your house. Hey, I know how to make bread. I'm going to make bread. I have a friend who said I've inspired her. She'll have pasta parties, and she'll make pasta at her house and whatnot, and invite her friends, and we've done that before. So everything that you learn, you take with you, you can use again. It's a skill that once you learn it, like making bread or making biscotti, you can replicate it again and again and again. And the more you do it, the better you get. And on top of that, then you don't have to go to the store to buy biscotti. You can make your own at half the price, and you can then share that with people.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of gifting. Like I gift a lot of my food to people. My friends love me. My neighbors love me. The girls down at the Moon and Mug love me because as soon as I bake something, they get a free taste test, and so do the people in Moon and Mug. So if I'm baking and there's a room full of people, I'll offer my goods to them, and they don't have to pay for it. It's just, hey, tell me what you think, and I take that feedback to make my products better. So if somebody says, this needs more flavoring, needs more sugar, then I know. And, you know, that's the benefit for me anyway.
Yeah.
And then I get to share a little bit of myself. So
Yeah, it really is one of those, like you said, key tenets of what it means to be a human. Is like there's eating, drinking, and then like being together with people, just talking, dancing, singing. It's all those things that, you know, we kind of don't do as much anymore. And it's great that, you know, there's spaces like this that
Yes.
encourage that, because I mean, like, it's great that, you know, you can go and get some food in like 5 minutes if you need to, but also if you do it all the time, then you're missing out on, like, you know, what we just did, which is sitting there together, talking, laughing,
Right.
and literally baking bread, breaking bread, and doing all that stuff.
yeah, and again, it doesn't require your phone.
Yeah.
Like you're not looking at your phone the whole time, or you're looking on a computer, or you're looking at a website. You're actually hands-on doing the stuff, and it's a skill that, like I said, it's just like anything. Once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. So now it won't get any better if you only do it one time. Yeah, but you have to keep at it. And I guarantee you, if you do it often enough, you can start doing everything by memory, and it's almost like muscle memory. I'm pretty sure that you saw that when we were doing it together. I was like, okay, this is what you do, boom, boom, boom. This is what you do, and it's just comes natural to you after a while, and that's how cooking is. And everything's trial by, and not everything's going to turn out. Sometimes you might get a bad product, but you learn from that. And everybody's a critic, so not everybody's going to like everything that you make, you know. But you know, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you probably get a lot more positive feedback with food of all the things that you do, because it's hard to disappoint people with food. At least, I mean, unless you really mess it up. But
that's true.
Yeah.
That's why before you give anything out, you taste it, and check it, and make sure that it tastes good before you get it out. But like the bread, you know, I gotten to the point where it's almost like 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a good product.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm doing it, and the biscotti, that's hit or miss sometimes, depending on the ingredients that you're using or the flavoring. Sometimes they turn out really well, and sometimes they're hard to cut, or they're too soft, and it's, you know, that's like very like hard to do sometimes, is to get consistency all the time, and that's the key, you know, and being patient and just letting the ovens do the work. And like again, bread making requires patience with the raising process, and you know, not rushing things, you know, and just going through the motions and just taking every step one step at a time.
Yeah. Now, could you talk a little bit about kind of your background and what got you into baking and cooking? We talked a little bit about it in the class itself, but just for everybody listening.
Okay, well, I come from a 100% Italian family. Both of my parents were Italian. Their parents were Italian.
Are you first generation, or?
I'm second.
Okay.
My father was first generation. He was the first one who was born in the United States. My uncle and aunt came over from Italy. We hail from Calabria, a small town called Serastretta. My mother's side of the family, her father came from Sicily. So We have Southern Italian and Sicilian background, and I learned a lot from just watching my grandmother and my mother. They made bread by hand. I mean, didn't even use them, dough hook or mixer.
Yeah.
Literally by hand. And, you're a little kid, 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and you're watching your mom do something. She needed help. She said, hey, can you pour, some water? Can you pour a little oil? Can you throw some flour? You're standing there, and you're learning, and, you're helping them, make bread. But they're doing all the hard work. You're just watching. You watch it enough, and you learn, and then you start asking questions. You decide, maybe I can do that. And then, so that's where I start learning about the Italian traditional foods that are my family made or would make. And then, I don't know, I had this vision of possibly going into the hotel restaurant field. So I went to IUP for food service management, graduated with a bachelor's, but my life took a little kind of a weird twist towards the end, the last semester of my year at my food service management bachelor's degree at IUP. There was a class for labor industrial relations that I took, and for some reason I fell in love with the labor history part of it, and I went on for my master's for labor relations and human resources, and I ended up working in the hotel industry and restaurant industry in the HR department down in Baltimore for a couple years. And so I was still in the industry, but I was more administration. And I kind of just put that on the back burner, just my cooking. But, when I had a family and I started cooking more at home for my kids and my spouse and stuff. And so as time went on, I just kept cooking and baking, and at some point, I ended up getting divorced. I would have my sons half the time, and when they would come home, one of my things to be with me, I wanted to instill upon them was the Italian tradition, to keep that family, because family is a very cultural and important part of our lives for the Italian heritage, Italian families. And so everything was around food. So when they would come and make sure, to my house, I would make sure they had, hey, we're going to have a good home cooked meal. We're not going to out. And they loved it. And then I started just building off of that. And then I ended up telling you the story of how I ended up getting here. And then once I started to get good at what I was doing, I just started doing it. And then I branched out to homemade Italian cookies, the Christmas cookies, and one of the other things that I got from my mother, she had all these cooking books or cookbooks from different churches and parishes. Some of them were Italian churches, some of them were Slovakian, Ukrainian churches, whatever. So I had all these cookbooks that had all these ethnic, dishes in them, and the desserts and the cookies were the most important to me. I don't know why. It's just like, I'm going to try this. And the Italian cookies seemed to be easy for me to make because, again, I grew up with them, and I just started making them. So one of my favorite Italian cookies, Christmas cookies, is Toto's. They're like a chocolate spice cookies. I just love them, and I've been making them, and they get better every year. Again, something I learned from my parents. I make pizzelles, same thing.
I love pizzelles, yeah.
I can make those. You can make them in different flavors. And then I never knew how to make biscotti. And then I just one day, again, the internet is a great thing if you don't abuse it.
Yeah.
But you can start learning. That's how I started learning about biscotti and the painting part, my creative part of the painting. I just started watching videos and I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. And I got recipes and I tried it out. And it was just like something that I was passionate about. And if I'm passionate about something, it just comes easy to me.
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of people ask me, why don't you open your own restaurant? And I said, it's not a passion anymore. It's now a work. It's a job. And as much as I would like to do that, owning a business is very hard because it's a 24/7 almost.
Especially food, because
yes.
then you have to worry about you were in hotels, so you know all that.
Yeah, and those. The statistic is 1 out of every 5 businesses in the restaurant industry succeed. The other 4 out of the 5 fail, and that's hard. That's a hard life, and because you have to work at it all the time. And, you're never on vacation. You never have a weekend off, stuff like that. So there's always something. And I didn't want it to ruin my passion.
Yeah.
Same thing with the art, it's passion, but sometimes if I feel like it's getting too much of a work, I'll back off for a month or two and just not touch it, and then I'll go back to it, and then I'll knock out like 10 paintings in one night, maybe, and then, I post them up and try to sell them, so. But, same thing with the food. It remains a passion, and it brings me joy. It helps, helps keep my mind off of things, helps me keeps me grounded, and then again, everything that I make goes out to other people, and I share. It's called sharing love, paying it forward. Do that all the time. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. I mean, that's something that I think I've had a hard time with getting better at, is not dipping my passions into work all the time. I mean,
right.
Because it's difficult, like, especially I think now, because like we were talking about with the internet, I mean, like, it just feels like you should be making everything into work, and it's like kind of a sad thing that I think our culture really supports, is like, oh, you're interested in that, why don't you try to make money off of it? And then everything turns into like a gig. And I mean, it's nice to a point. Like, I mean, obviously this podcast, I don't really turn much profit, if any, from it, but like, it's, I try to distance it as much as I can from the work, so I can understand that. I mean, because, and it's kind of scary too, because I mean, then it's like you are really passionate about something, and then like money starts getting involved, and then it starts to feel weird. And so I can understand not wanting to start a restaurant. I would think too that like if you're the one starting it, after like the first couple months, once you start getting some staff on hand, like you're probably not doing very much cooking, and it's kind of like just sitting back and like making sure that everything's running properly, handling the business side of things.
Yeah, and if it is cooking, again, you have to get up for a restaurant, especially if you're baking stuff. You have to get up super early to make sure it's ready for people who are on the road by like 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then, then if you don't sell it, what are you going to do with the extras? That there's a lot of waste in restaurants. If you're smart, you can probably figure out ways to reuse stale bread or whatnot, make breadcrumbs or whatnot, freeze that. That's, you can, but there's a lot of waste. And, after a certain time, bread will go moldy. Cupcakes, cakes, pies, they eventually will get soggy, So, and again, it's a lot of work. It's not that I'm afraid of work. I work all the time.
Yeah.
It's just at this point in my life, I just really like teaching and teaching it and having fun. And that's one of the things that you and the other person who came today said was, I asked these 3 basic questions. Did you have a good time? Yes. Was it fun? Yes. Did you learn something? Yes. Okay, 3 things, 3 out of 3. If you learn if those 3 things you walk away from my class, and you get food to take with you that turned out perfect, you're good to go. So, that's all I want. And yes, I do make a little money on the classes because number one, the payment for the class pays for the supplies, and I usually buy the supplies, pays for, the lighting and the appliances that we use. We have to pay bills. And part of that payment goes to Craftwork Studio. They're a nonprofit, so they use some of that money to put back and reinvest back into Craftwork. So it's sort of like full circle.
Yeah.
And again, my time, I get a little bit of pay for that, but it's not a whole lot. I'm not getting rich on it, nor do I want to. Maybe if I'm lucky, maybe the Food Network might contact me.
Yeah.
I'll have my own show, and then I'll talk money. But until then, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing.
Well, and back to because I find this part really interesting, and I want to hold on a little bit if we can. Back to your culture with being 100% Italian.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Italy?
Not yet.
No?
That's on the docket for next summer.
Oh,
so
perfect. Yeah.
Me and my sons were talking about that. One of the things that I like to do is go on vacation with my sons. Wherever I go, I'll always invite them. We've been going to the beaches of the East Coast, New Jersey, Virginia, and whatnot.
You go to Outer Banks?
Not yet.
Oh, I love Outer Banks.
But we were talking, and I said, all right, we're going to Italy. Next summer, we're going to Italy.
I feel like you have to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
And I don't want it to... I told them I didn't want to take the tours. Like, what I wanted to do is go see where my family's from. I do want to go see Pompeii.
Yeah.
And Herculaneum. Because of the history of because it's almost like everything's frozen in time. It's like a time capsule. I'm very intrigued by the Roman Empire. I don't know why, but I am.
I mean, I feel like we all are.
Yeah,
that was even a joke online for a while.
So that's one of the things I do want to absolutely see, and I also want to go to the beaches in the Mediterranean. In Calabria, just where my family's from, and I just want to experience the culture without the hustle and bustle of the tours. I know there's a lot of great things to see, but I'm really interested in the day-to-day kind of culture, to see what it's like, and just to see if I can blend in, without talking, to see, if I have that Italian look or not.
Do you speak any Italian?
I'm learning.
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm using Babbel, and I practice every day, but I'm not very good. So I can learn. I can hear things, and I can pick up on things, and I can say a couple phrases. But I try to practice. At least I do one thing a day in the morning, and if it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's like one thing. I just have to check it off my to-do list. Did you practice Italian today? Yes. So and I use Babbel, but I need to talk to people, or I need to get more into like watching Italian TV and just listening to it. Listen to because they talk faster too.
They do.
So that's one of the things that I have to figure out. But that's my goal. I want to become fluent in Italian. So.
I would love to become fluent in another language. My grandfather actually is also 100% Italian. He's first generation. His family came from, I don't remember what part of Italy that they live in, but they had come to America in the mid-30s, and he was the first of his entire family to be born in America because they were actually pregnant while they were coming over, and so he was like born right when they came here in 1936. And so I've gotten a little bit of Italian culture from him too, and it's always been, he makes his own he doesn't make his own pasta, but he has like his own special sauce that he makes. He has the meatballs that he'll make himself, and it's just like, it's kind of ruined me for anything else. Like I usually will never eat like spaghetti or pasta at any restaurant because I'm like, it's just not as good, and it's crazy. I mean, and that's kind of something too, like with your whole family being Italian, that I'm interested in. Like, what do you think it is about that culture and, a lot of European cultures and around the world that like everything is so interconnected, everything's so close. Food is such a large part of it. It's almost like kind of part of the language that you guys speak.
And again, I make my own sauce, my own meatballs. Yeah, so I'm right there with you. I would say, and I'm theorizing, I would say it was because they were all poor.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why they came into this country was because poverty was so bad and food was so important, right? So when they ate, they were eating together. Yeah. And I believe when they got to this country, they were still, I wouldn't say they were wealthy. They were a little bit better off, but they had opportunities to work, and especially in Johnstown, there was a lot of factories and the mills and stuff where people can, work. My grandfather, my father's father, actually owned a grocery store in Johnstown.
Oh, cool. Which one?
Old Conemaugh Borough. Was called Falvo's. And they had it until the 60s, until he passed. And my other grandfather worked in the mill. My family, my father and his brother worked in the grocery store. My father, it was a family thing. So everything was connected. And the other thing, a lot of people really don't know a lot about the Italian history. When they came over as immigrants, they were very much discriminated against.
Yeah.
To the point where they were the lowest of the lows when it comes to paying. Like, they would get the lowest wages of all minorities. And I'm part of another group called Club Italiano di Johnstown, and we would have speakers come to our group or our club. And we had a gentleman from, I believe he was from the UPJ, he was a professor, and he showed us like newspaper articles,
Yeah.
and they listed all the races and how much they would pay per wage.
Mm-hmm.
The Italians were the last one, and they got 10 cents an hour, and everybody else got like
And when was that?
at like in the like early 1900s,
Wow.
1920s. So there was a lot of discrimination, and Italians were actually sent to concentration camps in the United States along with the Japanese, internment camps or whatever you want to call that, as during World War II. So they were one of the only other races who that it happened to.
I didn't know that. I only thought it was the Japanese during World War
No,
II.
there was Italians who also were put into those camps as well. So but one of the things that they did was they took those jobs and they helped build the country, and they earned their way, and that's the way they became stronger in a sense. And that's why you have the Little Italies in those, because that's where they lived. They all stayed together because they were safer that way, and then there's that sense of community. And the same thing, I don't know what it is about Italian families, but the family was more important. Family always came first. No matter what happens, you look out for your family, and you never disgrace the family name. If you're going to do anything, do it right, so that when people say your name, they remember the good thing, not the bad thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I always try to instill in my kids. There's one thing that you're given in your life, and that you take to your grave, is your name from beginning to end. And you have to ask yourself, how do you want people to remember you and your family name, with good things or bad things? So to me, that's resonated. And again, everything resonated around the family food and Sunday dinners, and just holiday dinners, especially Christmas Eve, the Seven Fishes. Like, it was a time just to be with family. And to me, I think that was what kept them going, and that's kept them moving forward. There's a lot of good things that are happening or have happened in the world because of Italians. I'm a little biased, but that's what I believe. So.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I knew a little bit about some of that history, but I never knew that it was like that, to that extent. I always knew that there was that Italians were one of the immigrant cultures to come in who were really poorly treated, but that's insane that it went that far. I mean, to as much as you know about it, what do you think caused that specifically for Italians?
It's just like anything else. I mean, that was just it. They were willing to work for less wages.
Oh, I see.
So and they were unskilled.
Mm-hmm.
So as things became more industrial revolution and whatnot, the less skill you needed, right? So when you have certain people who have skilled, and you have machines taking over their jobs, but you need people to do the menial stuff at less pay, they were actually the ones who were getting paid, and the people who were skilled were losing out. Mm-hmm. So that's where the resentment came from some of them, and that's where some of the discrimination came from, because they were competing, but at the same time, it wasn't their fault. They needed money, they needed to work, they just ended up taking those jobs. And then as families grew, and as they became part of the country, they actually, a lot of Italians during World War II actually fought for our country, because they were now Americans, or Italian Americans. They never lost their Italian roots, but they're on American soil, and they live to be Americans. So that's how I look at it. I'm on American soil, but I have Italian roots.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is a really beautiful part of our country that I hope sticks around for as many generations as it can. I hope that that's one of the things that the internet doesn't destroy, and like that kind of culture, because I've heard things like that. Cultural dialects and accents and things like that have worldwide started to kind of naturalize all down to one because of the interconnectedness. It's still very strong, especially obviously with people who aren't as connected online. But I just hope that with the new generation of people that kind of thing doesn't go away.
And funny you should say that. One of the things about Italy that is really unique. At one time, they tried to nationalize the language when Mussolini was in power.
Yeah.
But every region had its own dialect. And actually, if you go to Sicily, they talk a little differently. They speak Italian, but it's a different type of Italian. And if you go to southern, like Calabria, they have an accent or some sort of dialect that it's picked up from. So if you travel north, they kind of know that you're not from that area. So when they nationalized the language, the idea was to make one language, which they started to, but now it's reverting back to the regional dialect, from what I was told, from what I saw. And the other thing is, like, if you watch things, I saw I don't know if it was it was an Italian actress, and she was from Naples, and they asked her, she never said she was Italian. She said she was basically Nepalese or whatever. She was equating like her city or her region as that's how she referred to herself. She is Italian, but she's Nepalese. So.
Well, that's interesting too. I mean, because that kind of, from what you were talking about with once they came to America at large, it was like we're Italian, but we're also American, and so it was that kind of assuming of both cultures. And so it's interesting that the people who are actually native to the country itself see themselves as maybe generally Italian, but then also like this is my region.
Yeah.
And I mean that's something that's really big around here too. Like in the whole Appalachian stretch of America, it's like people are very proud of their culture and their nationality, but also where they are specifically. So I mean, like people from Pittsburgh will let you know they're from Pittsburgh. People from like West Virginia will let you know they're from West Virginia, and that's a very important part of it. And yeah, that's really interesting.
Right. Same thing with Philly. Like,
yeah.
Philly. All right. Yeah, and again, if you ever hear someone, I'm Sicilian or I'm Calabrese. Those are the regions in Italy. So some people will say that. You'll hear, well, I'm Italian, I'm Sicilian. So they even do, like, people, even Italian Americans do it. Like, they resonate where their family's from.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and as we start to kind of get to the close here too, one more thing I wanted to ask is a little bit separate from Craftworks and the culture and everything. What is it that you do outside of your teaching here at Craftworks, all that kind of stuff? Because I know you had talked about.
I work for PENNDot.
Yeah.
It's such a far leap from what I do. And what I do for PENNDot is I work in employee safety.
Oh, okay. Does that kind of go with the food safety and everything that you learned in college?
I have 3 degrees. They're all from IUP.
Okay.
And the first one was, of course, food service management, bachelor's. The second was a master's in labor industrial relations with an HR component. At some point in my life, I ended up falling into a job with the Commonwealth, and it was with PENNDot. And one of the reasons why was because of my HR background. And I was working as a management analyst up in Montoursville in District 3, PENNDot. It's up by Williamsport. And there was a job that opened up in Indiana, PA, which was an employee safety specialist, and it fell under the HR. So my HR background with my master's degree qualified me for the position. During COVID, I ended up, because we were all cooped up, right, taking a master's degree course, an online master's degree course through IUP for safety science. So in the end of 2020, I ended up getting my master's in safety science, which kind of fell into the role I was in anyway. So I had all this work experience as a safety specialist. I just wanted to pull in the theoretical and educational background of that with the degree, so which I did. And now I work for PENNDot, the Employee Highway Maintenance Division, and I'm a central office employee, work out of Harrisburg, but I technically have an office in Indiana where I used to work, so I still work in the area, and so that's what I do. I actually make videos too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
For PENNdot?
Yes, safety videos. So employee safety videos, and I go out and I write script, and I also go out and take photographs, take video of our workplaces. We narrate it, and then we do like anywhere between a 5 to 7 minute video on a safety topic for our employees.
Okay.
And we just show them, hey, what we're trying to find out, or what we like to do is, instead of giving just a written document of a safety talk, we try to show them 2 or 3 really important points of that safety talk document in a video and narrate it for them, and then they can use it whenever they want, and we talk a number of different things, work zone safety, how to handle when you're approached by the public, who, sometimes we get irate people who really don't like to be stopped at the work zone, and because they got someplace to go, they start yelling at our guys, throwing stuff at them, threatening them. So we tell them, hey, this is how you handle this. Roadside hazards, slip, trip, and falls, safe driving, overhead hazards. A lot of times our trucks will hit bridges or low-hanging wires or whatnot and pull them down, and there's a reason behind it. We try to remind them, hey, this is why you shouldn't do this, and this is what's going to happen. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's all fun. I've been in some of the videos, starring in them, I guess,
Yeah.
And I also take photos and take the video clips, and I think the one was electrical hazards, when the down wire falls on your car or on your truck, because again, we made a specific video of that, and I had to pretend that I was electrocuted and laying on the ground dead. So that was me.
The Oscar's coming in the mail.
Yeah,
for it.
basically shows me jiggling around. So. But that's what I do. So, and I do that Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And on weekends, I'm a baker, cooker, painter.
Yeah.
I also work at the YMCA as a lifeguard too. So.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you saying something about the Y one time, and so I wasn't sure how that was brought in there, but.
That's the other thing. Like I participate. I'm a very physically active person. I believe. And I've done mini triathlons too. So I swim a lot, and they were short lifeguard, and they saw that I swam a lot, and they said, hey, do you want to take the lifeguarding course? We'll pay for it. All you have to do is work here.
Now, were you at the Y actually swimming on membership, and they were like, hey,
yeah,
do you want to? That's so cool.
And then they're like, and then I get a discount for that. And then I just every weekend or so, I go just work 2 days a week, but I help them out, because it's hard to find people to work, Friday night or a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, I'll do it. So
swimming's always something I wish that I have put more time into being better at. Running is kind of my thing, so I enjoy running. I do races every now and again.
Too.
My friend was a big swimmer in high school, and so I think he still lifeguards sometimes, but I'm not sure about that. But.
And then I bike.
Yeah.
On the trails around the area. We got
it's a beautiful area for it too. So.
Yeah. So I do maybe 1 or 2 mini triathlons a year in the summer. I usually do the one over in Canoe Creek.
Mm-hmm.
That's sponsored by the Hollidaysburg YMCA, and there's one up in Butler. They do 2 a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. I gotta remember, Moraine State Park.
Yeah.
That's the one that they do. So I'm getting a little too old for this stuff. So I don't know how much longer I can do it.
Maybe just take it down to whatever a one athlon is called.
Yeah, maybe a duathlon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So something that you had said earlier that we can kind of wrap up on is with your Italian heritage, especially how important the name is to you and to the family as a whole. And you had talked about how that's something that you've kind of instilled and taught to your sons to keep up into the future. How would you say that you would hope that your name through your actions would be remembered?
Well, I don't know. I that's a very deep question, and I don't know if I have an answer for that. I just want to live my life the best that I can. We're only given so much time on this place, on this little rock. So I just make the best of it, and if you see that you want to do something, go do it. Like, who knew I would be teaching baking classes? Who knew I would be doing art? Who knew I would be doing videos for the state of Pennsylvania? I never. If you asked me that 10 years ago, where do you see yourself? None of these three things would have been true. Same thing with like if I did a triathlon, like I started like when I was 52, like or 50ish. I just decided one day I just got a bug in my head and said, hey, why don't you try that? See if you can do it, and I just started doing it. So, and again, they're nothing special. It's like a 12-mile bike ride, like a quarter-mile swim, and a 5K, like a 3-point. But you got to do it all back to back. Yeah. So, I'm just happy that if I ever finish, like I just finish. I don't care what place I come in. I don't care what my time is.
If it's the same day you started.
Yeah. Yes. As long as I finish upright, not on a gurney, I think that's a success. So. But yeah, that's it. And then what I think my legacy will be my sons and how well they handle life. Family is that important to me. I want them to have a better life than I did, and I also don't want them to limit themselves. I want them to not don't live in fear. Don't worry about what ifs. If you want to go for something, go for it. Mm-hmm. If you get it, great. If you don't, well, maybe it wasn't for you. And I'm very spiritual too. Like God puts me places where He needs me to be. I just let Him take the wheel.
Yeah.
So I just said that to somebody yesterday.
That's actually I was thinking about that while you were saying all that. There's a verse from Acts that I always think back on that relates to this kind of a subject. I think it's like Acts 17:27 or something like that, and it's paraphrasing obviously, that God puts us in a specific time and place so that in our grappling for Him we might find Him. And that whenever I read that, I was like, yeah, that gets it exactly. I mean, because whether someone is directly searching for God or just something in their life, it's always that it's a mixture of experiences, yeses, nos that you say, things that you agree to do, things that you might miss, and that leads you to who you eventually end up to become.
Yep. So. And sometimes it's okay to say no.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to say no.
Yes. Because if you said yes, you could be in a whole your life could have made a totally different path, and it might be the worst path. Yeah. And that's the other thing, not to worry about the future. Just take it life as it comes. Yeah. Future's going to come no matter what, whether you like it or not. How it comes to you is based on how you act in the moment. Yeah. And that goes for anything. Or if you even have a future, how many people have made bad mistakes or bad decisions, and their future just ended that day. They made that decision. You could say it for whatever. Driving without a seatbelt, taking drugs. Drinking while driving. Those decisions can end your future in a heartbeat. That's no pun intended, but that can happen. And that's what I want to instill in my sons especially. Make the right decisions. If you think you can't make that right decision, then have a plan for somebody to help you out. Get a designated driver or something like that. And that's something that I told them. And I'm very proud of them. They never cease to amaze me, and they make me a better person. So I just say, because they're in my life, they make me want to be a better person. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, Rich, for coming on.
You're welcome.
Sorry
I talk so much.
No, that's perfect. I loved it. And thank you for teaching me how to make bread, too. I have a lot of stuff to bring home.
Hey, there you go. Your girlfriend's going to love you now.